Hello everyone, Birb here. Let's close out CM13 by talking about pace chasers. This builds off of the TAURUS Cup overview, so that's available if you are looking for a track overview. It's not required reading, but it will help you if you do not know anything about the TAURUS Cup. Otherwise, this is about pace chasers. If you are looking for end closers or late surgers or front runners, this is the fourth of 4 for roles that I have done. So those are available. You can check the feed or you can check the playlist for that. It was done in the past week, so it should be easy enough to find. But today, pace chasers. I'm going to do the TAURUS Cup structure that we've been doing by basically making it more practical by putting the deck building section to be more of I'm going to build a pace chaser deck. I will say it's quite simple for pace chasers. And also I'm going to steal from the Pisces Cup guides that I did because there's so many pace chasers. I'm going to be doing in the character section a couple of pace chasers, then the checklist and close out everything. And then I'll be doing the rest of the pace chasers. So if you are looking for only the information, you could leave at that point. But if you want to stick around, feel free for the oshi part of the guide itself when I go through all the natural pace chasers. Okay, so let's talk about pace chasers in the TAURUS Cup. TAURUS Cup is about fighting for the mid-race. Pace chasers have the advantage that PDM is not as strong for them, so if you get lucky, you can get only a 3-length PDM all the way up to, I believe, 5.5 times track modifier, whereas the lates have 6.5 track modifier and the ends have 7+. So it's you have an innate advantage in the mid race, and you basically will hit Marzensky Ultimate, assuming that you build decent enough mid-race that the lates don't overtake you. Okay, so that is the pro of pace chasers. You do not have to really worry about positioning too much. You will hit Maru Alt, assuming there's not 6 front runners, but you can't control that, and normally you will still pass them if you build enough mid-race, because not every front runner is going to be built perfectly. Your mid-race is on great stat cards because you are generally doing the medium mid-race stuff, and there's no decision fatigue in this because your unique pace chaser skills, unfortunately, this is the con, doesn't work very well. So Determined Descent doesn't work very well. Speed Star is not the greatest skill in the world, but can still be taken. So you basically just grab mid-race skills and Professor of Curvature, cards that have very, very good stat output. The other negative that you have is that you have lower late race speed than the end closers in particular and the late surgers. So that is your trade-off, is you hit Marzensky Ultimate and you're guaranteed, but you have lower speed than the other ones on this very, very long late race track. The other thing that you have is a stamina debuff, of course, as always. On a longer track, it's a little bit tough. You have about 11% more stamina that you need to build, okay? So that is the pros and cons of pace chasers. The stats I amended to is 800 stamina, 600 guts, and you'll survive that as a pace chaser, but I highly suggest getting up to about 850 to 875 because your pace HP conversion is a little bit worse. So you do want a little bit extra stamina so that you're able to duel, because you really, really need to get some late race speed off of those duels. The overview video goes over this a little bit more in depth about how every single variable goes and affects these numbers. I suggest it, but we're going to keep moving. Your primary acceleration on a pace chaser is redshift. That's it. So redshift, grab it. I would say it's required. It's the only skill that's required. It's slightly late, but it still gives 2.7 lengths. You get 5th place or better, which you will. It procs with the wit check. So that's it. You can do an undershoot excel, maybe measure a Dober if you're running 2 fronts and you hope that there's a bunch of fronts. I don't think the lobby comp will ever hit these, so I believe that, I don't think they're worth the hassle trying to grab. Now, if you run double front runner, maybe you hope there's a triple front runner player or a couple straggling 2 front runner players, but I don't think front runners are going to be as utilized as before due to the length of the stretch itself. So these undershoot accelerations, I don't personally suggest. Secondary accelerations, I'd say go for the white versions of these. So Nimble Navigator and Head On are both decent enough because you are trying to high roll itself. So Nimble Navigator is your most consistent, and it's pretty much inconsistent, but hopefully you have enough mid-race to get into the straggling front runner. Head On is it's a little tough on this long track. You can see how big that dead zone is. I do not think that you should be borrowing Daiwa Scarlet Power for neck and neck. I don't think neck and neck is worth taking. It's just too expensive. Condor's Fury and I Never Goof Up can be used as a backup acceleration. Notably, I think Condor's Fury is 4th or worse, so you have to run a few front runners to at least have a chance at it, but his overtake should proc early. I Never Goof Up is very finicky in that it quickly falls off to just a speed skill, but if you pass somebody on a perfect proc, it's technically basically a second Marzensky ultimate in terms of acceleration, in terms of value that it gives you. Otherwise, Ig Power and Ig Guts. There's a lot of gamble accelerations. I kind of have El Condor Pasa here as well because it's a lobby gamble. Most times these are not really worth taking. Unyielding, if you're being passed on the final corner, you're done. Like it's an end closer or a late surger. There's too long of a stretch. There's no way that you are holding off an end closer for like 600 meters if they are passing you. Corner Connoisseur is a 1 in 5, not efficient. Keep it real. Usually procs early, dancing the leaves. Maybe if you have 3 pace chasers, it'll proc, but I doubt it. The one you're probably going to use the most is Radiant Star because it gives you stamina, and most people will have a little bit of trouble grabbing stamina requirements for pace chasers in particular. It can be used as a pseudo gold recovery. It's about 60% if you're in that sort of borderline range of like around 900 to 950 stamina. Other than that, most times grabbing more mid-race is the better option and grabbing more late race is the better option. But it high rolls 1 out of every 6 times, so do that at your own risk. The reason why determined descent and straight descent is not good is technically, you can see it gives lengths, but it's a singular frame. If it procs at the last frame, that downhill will go and extend into the acceleration zone for 1.5 lengths, which is less than Marzensky Ultimate. So even when it procs, it doesn't really give enough anyways. The expected value on this with the 1 in 20, for the record, is like 0.075 lengths, which is nothing. Like, if you're taking this, you are a bigger gambler than I am. Overshoot accelerations, basically this is hoping for lucky pace. I believe as time goes on, you may find a few lucky pace lobbies, particularly with the Christmas Auguri. Now, I don't think Christmas Auguri necessarily needs this, and I think these are tertiary accelerations behind a like Nimble Navigator and your Red Maru Ultimate, but you can grab Angling and Scheming if you believe you are going to steal Rod. If you're doing this, you need as much mid-race as possible, and you need a significant amount of mid-race to try to steal Rod and hope that you get a good downhill. Resplendent Red Ace is sort of the 50-50 version where you're trying to get in second place possibly, which may happen more often. Most people are going to be running double front runner, but if that happens, you do technically have a little bit of an acceleration for 1.77 lengths as well. Both of these I think are slightly inefficient for what they do, but they're there if you have extra skill points. Early race accelerations, there's been a lot of talk about Shroot Step. I don't think Shroot Step is worth it in this CM personally, because even if it does what people are saying, which I do believe them that it's doing that, it's still only 0.6 lengths, which puts it at par with every single other like white skill in the game. Now, here's the deal. You also have to deal with the possibility of getting PDM'd because there's a bad front runner, and you also, how do I put it? The value that normally these like early race excel and speed skills have is you get placed in front of like the other characters in your role, which means it's not really clustered. Pace chasers don't really necessarily have that problem, and also there's not going to be that many pace chasers, so I don't think that is gonna really come into play as much as people think. But maybe you take groundwork if you already have a bunch of greens. Okay, I will do a video on Shroot Step eventually. I know people really want it because that's the hot topic right now. It's not the video for it. I would avoid in this particular CM unless you have absolutely no other speed skills to proc at all. The early to mid-race velocity skills are good though. So if you get Umastan, what Umastan does is it has something sort of unique in that it basically prevents kidnapping, because if a late surger comes close to you off of their Umastan proc, your Umastan will proc, hopefully, and then you will speed forward a little bit too and break your PDM. So essentially, if like a late surgery gets a good roll on PDM plus an Umastan break, and you get a bad roll and you don't have Umastan, that before that first corner, the late surgery can slot itself in front of you and then basically PDM himself and then drag you back. If you get dragged back, you've seen this as kidnapping. It's it's over. Like if you're behind the end closes on this track, you're done. So Umastan does help against that. Also, your straight skills will help against that on an RNG basis. But your main mid race probably should be killer tunes, as well as tail health high, slipstream, playtime's over, and it's on. So the standard mid race that the front runners have, that other characters have, it's very good. Now, you don't get escape artists, that's the problem. So you're behind one gold skill from the front runners when you're trying to get into their pack. That is why it's not necessarily the greatest to go and try to get angling and scheming, unless you are hoping for lucky paces or a light front runner lobby. Corners and straight skills, I've talked about this in mass. They are both good. I prefer corner skills because I think you need the high roll speed carry over if they are even skill points, but mostly you should be picking the most efficient skills that use the least amount of skill points for these. Remember that double circling is a 0.1 increase rather than a 0.15 increase on a shorter duration skill. Basically, a white straightaway adept is pretty close. It's slightly worse than a double circle pace chaser straightaways. So getting a straightaway adept in single circle is worth more than double circling this only, or just getting one or the other. I apologize, these are the front runner graphs, but also your straight skills will PDM break, so this should be inverted in that it should go like this up here. So it should be like a ramp coming down at this first particular one. Okay, so straights are good because they can PDM break you, but they can get clipped at the end of the race. Corner skills are good because they can go and speed carry over themselves. Late race velocity, of course, your green skills are probably the most efficient late race velocity you have in terms of speed greens. Firm Course Menace is incredible because it's such a long late race that it gives you like 1.2 lengths itself. 1.3 lengths. You are a pace chaser. This is the pace chaser graph. Come What May is very good. It's a Triumphant Pulse, and In Body and Mind is, of course, Homestretch Haste, which can get clipped at the end of the race. So Come What May and All I've Got are guaranteed, but also expensive. Homestretch Haste is given by the game if you do Triple Crown route, pretty much. And then In Body and Mind is good as well if the character has it. So all these are great late race. You're probably going to need a late race skill just in order to fend off the end closers and to hit into dueling, but it's pretty good. Nothing ventured, you know what you're doing for grabbing this card, and here's the problem with Speedstar. So Speedstar normally is pretty good because final corner skills on mile tracks, speed carryover on long tracks are basically very, very good late race skills. Now, remember that Speedstar is one of the most expensive skills in the game. I believe it's 380 total base and prepared to pass as well. The thing is, if you look here, there's this massive dead zone, and this is with an acceleration. This is with Red Mario Ultimate. But basically, about 40% of the time, you get absolutely nothing. Another 10% of the time, you get like 0.3 lengths, which is less than a standard speed skill. That's about a white speed skills level. And then 0.6 lengths will give you, will give you full value. So about half the time, you're getting a full value gold late race speed skill, and then half the time you're getting a white skill or nothing, right? So you basically have half the efficiency and expected value of any other mid-race or late-race skill in the game. So in my opinion, Speedstar should be taken after every other late-race and mid-race skill in the game has been taken. Now, you do get the gold skill efficiency bonus because it's less skill points for something that is twice as effective, but again, Speedstar is super expensive, so it sort of evens itself out. So that's my analysis on Speedstar. That's another reason why pace chasers are a little bit troublesome in this particular track, because it is a corner 4 track. Hopefully, I'm going to grab a drink of water and then we'll continue. All right. Finally, late race speed, you grab pretty much all the other late race speeds that all the other rules have. Only thing I swapped out was Rudolph Alts can be a little tough if there's no front runners, and hopefully you're pretty close to the front runners, so I would not grab Rudolph Alt maybe. You can, it's still fine, but Barcarolle of Blessings is there, and you pretty much guaranteed hit Barcarolle of Blessings in the situations where you're winning because you should hit your Excel. Barcarolle is probably just a better skill in that case. So Barcarolle, Fuji, Alt, regular Oguri Alt, and then of course the rest of them, surprisingly enough, Satona Diamond's pretty good on pace chasers because you actually may be close to the leader around there. Okay. The trouble with pace chasers, as I've talked about, is you really don't have anything that's both useful and unique. Either something is useful or something is unique. So you're kind of running off of the medium skills, as you have noticed. So there really has to be a good or oshi reason to play it over late or end closer in this longer medium track. One of those reasons, of course, is Christmas Oguri, which we will talk about in a bit. But there is if a character is able to run late and end closer without having to increase their aptitude, you might want to consider running them in those roles, is what I'm trying to say here. That's why this card section is really simple. I don't think there's any Pace Chaser specific cards that really need to be there. The only thing is this does give Speed Star. Fine Motion does give Speed Star. So you probably just run the standard medium standard build that all the other roles are building, so I don't really need to do too much card analysis. But your borrow hierarchy, in my opinion, is Narita Top Road is going to be incredible because you need that late race speed, Kidus in Black for Perot Curve, and then just keep grabbing your mid race with Killer Tunes, It's On, etc., etc. There are some other options with, like, if you own the cards like Nishino Flower gives you Beeline Burst, you probably will need a recovery if your character doesn't have it on Pace Chaser, so Swinging Maestro on Super Creek or Rice Shower or Race Planner, if you are free to play, is it's a gamble if you get it, but it's at least something. But mostly if you're playing Pace Chaser, you're doing it because it has a built-in recovery as well. So sorry, the card section's simple, but honestly, I don't think many cards should be taken on Pace Chasers that are specific. Like, I would not borrow Daiwo Scarlet Power because Neck and Neck is not worth the additional 0.2 acceleration when you're guaranteed a 0.2 acceleration already. All right, again, characters. I'm going to do a couple. I'm going to do a couple that I think are pretty unique and have a very good chance of winning, and then do the checklist, then do the rest, which still can win, but are more typical Pace Chasers that exist as well. And also, I will probably be doing Biwa because Biwa is B&W. So let's talk about Ogre Recap Christmas real quick. Festive Miracle. Very good skill. It's basically acceleration only on this track, so 0.3. It technically can proc early if you decide to do a Radiant Star gambling. If you'd rather have it as a possible mid-race speed skill, you could take Rad Star. But most people, I think, will be taking Hydrate, 777, and Corner Recovery. Now, Uma Squared, I think, procs early this time because it procs on the Corner 3. So you don't have the backup, but 70% of the time, 75% of the time, you should get just a bonus 0.3 on top of your Red Maru for 0.5, which is very, very potent, which is a reason to go Pace Chaser for ease of use. Now, you can run this character in other roles as well. Measuro Arden basically has a very, very good long duration 0.45 target speed increase in the late race, which kind of makes you able to fight the end closers a little bit if you have enough mid race. She also comes with Come What May. So your late race is set on this character. She has speed wit bonus, which means she's super easy to actually hit 1200, 1200, 1200. And from there, your mid race essentially... One, you can steal Rod sometimes because of how much wit she has, but you really basically are leaning on this ultimate in order to stave off those end closers. So she is able to be built quite well. Sakura Chiona O is the same thing. Ambition Surpasses Sakura is a late race, but she is wholly carried by Spring Spectacle. So you put Spring Spectacle on her and you put Firm Course Menace on her, and she basically has a bonus 120 speed. She comes with Speed Star as well. You probably will not be taking that because you're spending so many skill points on these greens, okay? TM Opera O New Year's is there for Bark Roll of Blessings. It's not as strong as the other two ultimates because it's a shorter duration, in my opinion, even though it is a 0.45. Arden's ult, I think, is a little stronger, but she comes with Swinging Maestro, which is your recovery as well. Biwa Haide, for those doing the natural B&W strategy, when QED can proc early and get eaten in the acceleration zone. That's the tough part about it. But she does come with Calm and Collect and Auto Post Proficiency. I'd highly suggest just spending the spark and putting it into late Surger so that Biwa has more of a chance, or even End Closer if you are crazy and get, 4 parents for it. Christmas Biwa actually has sort of a reason to be done in Pace Chaser, and that your presence from X pretty much will work like 100% of the time, but it's a 0.35. Not as good as Daring Strike, of course, but Presence from X just adds on to Killer Tunes, and you have very good mid-race. I don't know if it's personally enough, but if you're running B&W Challenge, it might be the better one to run in the Pace Chaser position. You just have to source a gold recovery. Embodying Mind will be your late race. Meisho Doto Goof Up is always just a high roll ultimate that if she decides to randomly pass somebody, she gets a random 0.3 acceleration, which is ridiculous. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing, you probably would want to normally do multiple pace chasers in order to help with the passing situation, but you really don't necessarily want to run double and triple pace chaser because it's by far the hardest role to win on this long track, and you are usually gambling more than the other roles. So goof up works in other roles too, but you can run it in Pace Chaser, and that is Meisho Doto's natural position as well. Also comes with Speed Star, and Indomitable is a little bit tough. All right. I have to thank some Psychord people for tipping me off to this because I tested this last night, and it does sort of work. So, Marzensky is a Pace E medium B, and you're spending 4 to get Pace to A. Okay? So very, very, very difficult to build. However, I will attest that Marzensky OG, I believe, is very strong in the Pace Chaser position because of Redshift's 0.4. Now, she gives you absolutely nothing except speed, weight, growth, okay? I'm not saying this is an easy character to build. I'm not saying that this may even be the best Marzensky possible. However, after testing it, after also talking to people that know what they're doing, she might be stronger in the Pace Chaser role. She's strong in the front runner role, I will give her that. But hypothetically, 5th place or better, Redshift is all you need, and it's a 0.4, so you don't have to grab any other acceleration, so you can put everything else on her, all the mid-race that you have, all the rate race that you have. This is an advanced strategy. You look at her versus Christmas Oguri, which is, again, Christmas Oguri probably has the easiest and best acceleration in the game right now in terms of this track. Now, Christmas Oguri gets 0.5 acceleration pretty much guaranteed. You have Festive Miracle plus Inherited Redshift. Now, Marzensky gets 0.4 pretty much guaranteed because you have Redshift on Marzensky, okay? The thing is that Christmas Oguri has to spend 200 skill points on Redshift, 160 skill points on like some sort of soft step or corner recovery. 777 has 160 skill points and 180 skill points on Hydrate. And yes, you can get hints on all this stuff, but you can get hints on every skill. So, you know, it's going to be pretty close to this. Now, Marzensky probably needs to get Swingy Maestro, which is going to be about 360 skill points. You can also go and get like Race Planner or something, which is a little cheaper. But in general, Marzensky only has to spend 340 skill points versus Christmas Oguri's 700 skill points to get 0.1 less acceleration. So you have an additional 360 skill points over Christmas Oguri. Remember, Christmas Oguri only gets the acceleration components unless she is gambling on Radiant Star, basically. So if you are going for the easy, guaranteed acceleration build on Christmas Oguri, you are spending 360 more skill points than Red Maru. So Red Maru basically gets 2 tri-pulses worth of links, which is like a 1.5 links, which is more than the 0.1 acceleration gives you at that point. Okay, that's the reason why. No, it's not going to be 2 tri-pulses. Most likely, you are going and grabbing like a Killer Tunes. You're grabbing another gold, like a Beeline Burst, something that gives you an advantage in the mid-race that puts you on par with Christmas Oguri. I want to stress that this character is stupidly hard to build because of the aptitudes and the fact she gives you absolutely nothing. But do not go and ignore characters just because it's not their natural position when they have things as strong as the actual inherit that you are putting on literally every character in this CM. Hypothetically, this works in Late Surger. Please don't try to do Late Surger G. Just do a Pace Chaser if you want to go and have some fun. But with 2 days left, probably save this for maybe the next Taurus Cup, or I guess whatever they call it next time. I just wanted to put this out there because it was tipped off to me yesterday. It was actually really interesting to look into and test. And even like a Marzensky A, I won a room match or 2 just because Redshift is that crazy. Like, I also have El Condor Pasta Speed, so I got Killer Tunes for free. But try it out, see if you like it. Again, get your base 3. Like, please get your base 3 Umas first before you start trying to high roll on Marzensky. But yes, that's the last character I'm going to talk about in the first section here. So the reasons to play Paces are Christmas Oguri Comfort pick because it's very easy to get your recoveries with it, and you don't need as much stamina. I did not note this. Yes, technically you can get gold recovery on her, and you do have more stamina gain, so you could do less stamina and get your guts up more for speed. I don't think that's anywhere close to having like more skills at this point. So the ease of use from getting stats because you have more stamina versus the additional skill points. I think the skill points are better in general because hypothetically you could high roll on Mario as well. Anyways, let's continue. Christmas Oguri, comfort pick. You deny redshift slots as always. If you have a pace chaser, that means your late surger and the end closer behind, it's harder for them to hit Marzinsky ultimate. You pushed front runners along a little bit. Now, normally this is just the trigger pace up in the early game. However, with the amount of people running Umastan right now, I don't think this really does much more than just what the late surgers are going to do anyways. So I think the pace up happens on front runners. So if you're running 2 front runner, you might still want to just run an end closer as well. They're very easy to build because there's not too much stuff to grab. You just grab all the mid rates that the game gives you and you go from there. So if you are trying to quick build, you might just want to pick this, like just pick a pace chaser up as one of your people just to, grab the gold recovery the game gives you for pace chaser, take it from there, see what the game gives you. Oshi reasons as well. If you're a natural pace chaser and you want to run a pace chaser, feel free as well. Otherwise, late surges and end closers have a little bit of an advantage over you. It is not insurmountable, but it does exist. Gonna grab a drink of water and then do the checklist. So, pace chasers don't have a very long list. You get your minimum recommended stats. They have about a 50 to 75 stamina penalty, so you might want 875. Gold recoveries for dueling because you want some extra stamina for dueling at the end. You grab redshift, and then after that, you just grab as much mid-race and late race that the game gives you. There's not too much analysis on this point. Umastan is good. You can grab a backup excel like Nimble Navigator in particular. Don't go too hard on your accelerations. You have Red Maru ult already. Other than that, your stats are really going to be what carries you. Get some more power for your excel and get some wit. The 2 uphills are killer, so power is very, very important. It might be worth more than the additional wit at that point. Stamina and guts will lead to longer duels. Obviously, do it proportionally. Otherwise, you will stam yourself out. Okay? That has been Pace Chasers. If you want to wait for another character, there's still a bunch of more viable pace chasers that I will be going through here as well. So some of them are better than others. Let's continue. There is a disclaimer. At this point, these characters probably will have more success in late or end. However, they may not have late or end A, and also they could be front runners as well. But you will probably have to force them into late or end if you want them to have greater success. However, I do think they are still viable in the pace chaser position, but consider moving them, especially if they are late or end A. If they're end B or NB or late B, I think it's worth it to go and try to find a late spark for it or an end spark for it. C or worse, you might consider just running her in the pace chaser position unless you really know what you're doing. Yayano Muteki, Peerless Dance of Flowering Flames, is just a good late race speed skill. That's all it is. It's kind of like the Measure Arden. Unfortunately, it's only 0.35, not 0.45. However, she comes with a ridiculous amount of mid race with It's On and Pace Chase the Corner and Fighting Spirit. You probably don't want to take Unyielding on this one. So power 20% is very good with her. Mid race means you basically try to get killer tunes on her. Tamamo Cross, seriously run this character as an end or late. I'm not going to go into this too deeply, but technically second place White Lightning will speed carryover if it procs late, and then Tail 9 is very good mid-race, but you can do this in the late surge and end closer position, you're just faster. Fine Motion doesn't care where she is on the pack, so she can be run in her natural role, which has Speed Star, but Speed Star again is a little troublesome, so you're just left with medium corners and pace chaser corners. Again, she can be run in all 4 positions as well with a little bit of forcing and determination. Tosin Jordan, Pop and Polish is a very, very good ultimate in my opinion. It will just proc on the final straight. Basically, she is sort of set with speed power bonus and has a long shot with a built-in recovery. That is her pace chaser advantage. And we talked a lot about pace chaser advantage because you're going to find that a lot of these characters have a little bit of ease of use added to the pace chaser position, but normally like Tosin Jordan has on your left and gambling stuff for the late surger position as well. Symboli Ruda Festival is a very finicky on pass condition. She has, I believe, speed, stamina, whip bonus, if I remember. Sorry, I didn't put it there. But basically, it's like pressured target, which can and cannot proc depending on if the person you just passed decides to target you for a pass. So it's a little finicky of an ultimate, but most likely you will proc this fairly early. It's just a 0.35 speed increase, and then she comes with a gold recovery. Rae Shower Vampire has basically 2 gold recoveries, one in her kit that she will proc because there's not going to be many front runners, and Calm and Collected, which is the second one. If you take both of these, you might even consider running the Guts build just to get as much speed as possible on her. However, no speed bonus makes that a little bit tough as well. So, yeah, it's hard because this ultimate requires you to be pressured, so you probably want to run this with like a very good mid-race late surger to get the actual stamina increase from it. It's a weird character. It's certainly viable. I'd say it's more viable than the other Rae Shower is. Mummy Creek is good in that it's just a 0.2 target speed, but it just doesn't really give that much. But I know she's just a natural pace chaser with good speed growth. So medium straightaways, Professor of Curvature, and Kit means you don't necessarily need Kittis in Black. You can go and try to high roll with like Fuku or something if you have it. Regular Super Creek just has a bunch of recoveries, so maybe just pretend it's a sprint track. That's the best thing you can probably do. It's just utilize that and try to get as much mid-race as possible. Agnes Digital, please run this as an end or late surger. Like, this character is busted in the late surger and end closer position. Ridiculous late race ultimate and comes with super stand. But like, seriously, if you're playing this pace chaser, just run it late surger. It's very good in end closer with Daring Strike, but like, even as late surger for the ease of use, please let this character cook in the late surger position. Special Week Summer has a built-in recovery that's her advantage and has its on and tail held high for a lot of built-in mid-race. Honestly, that's really, really good. So you have a lot of mid-race. You put killer tunes on this character, GG. That's the best you can do with Special Week. Special Week OG has the backup acceleration and Shooting Star. Probably run it as late surger for combining this with like a Dober ultimate or something, but comes with Gorman. That's her... Gourmand is, again, her pace chaser advantage is having that gold recovery in kit. And a lot of these pace chasers, you're probably running these for the ease of use. El Condor Pasa Fantasy, please just run this late surger or possibly end closer if you're able to force it. But Condor's Fury is a backup acceleration of 0.4. If you love an El Condor Pasa, her as a late surger, even with how finicky Rising Dragon is very good because you just combine this with and you just get 0.8 acceleration and you teleport, okay? OG Pasa, you can run her pace chaser. Her ultimate basically becomes I hope I'm in second place at some point in this race to win, and hopefully 0.25 target speed is enough. Calm and Collected in the kit for the mediums will help a lot with ease of use and getting that stamina requirement. Air Group has Eternal Moments for the mid-race speed skill, but gives you not necessarily that much. Corner Con as a gamble skill, but mostly the speed and power bonus will help you with that. OG Air Group is a little bit tough because her ultimate procs in the acceleration zone. Now you get Up Tempo, which is Killer Tunes White, but it's just a little tough. I know this is the free-to-play version. The speed power growth will go very far for you still. But again, you might just want to run her late surger because she can just be run late surger and get the Dober ult. Bayano Top Gun Wedding, Flowery Maneuver is a little wonky, just being a speed skill on final corner. For a pass, she is a Murmur character if you're a stamina debuffer. I don't think stamina debuffers are very good. Swinging Maestro and Kit is her main drawing point, but again, she can be run in all 4 roles. Gonna grab a drink of water. A lot of water drinks because my voice is dying because it is the morning for once. Mayano Top Gun OG. If there's ever a position to run the NSM version of Mayano Top Gun, it might be Pace Chaser. Now, I would still run this Mayano Top Gun OG in the other positions, but if you are running Pace Chaser, you might just pick up NSM because you need to gamble more acceleration. So NSM plus Red Mario is 0.6. Bofa, I would probably just not take and just grab Super Creek because it's just gambles a 1 in 3. And then Flashy Landing, I'm not even going to get into it right now, but I guess it can proc anywhere pretty much in the final corner or later. So yeah, but if you're getting past, I guess it's a challenge. If you pass somebody slow enough, Flashy Landing should proc somewhere on that corner. Narita Bryan, her ultimate gets eaten a lot of times because Shadow Break gets passed early. I will say in the Pace Chaser position, even if you proc your Excel, it's probably a little bit slow, so you may actually get some value with Shadow Break, but it usually gets eaten. Now, Beeline Burst and IBAM will make this character relevant on pretty much every single track just because this is basically 0.7 target speed over the course of the race. Certain Victory, Teo Anime, is a good skill in the late race if it decides to proc and you basically have a target for long enough. This character has Spring Runner and 2 recoveries, so maybe you try the Guts build because that's where her growths are, and you have 2 recoveries if you fail your stamina checks. But again, that's more of an advanced strategy. Maybe you probably just take the miraculous step for the recovery. OG Teo doesn't have any recoveries, but comes with all the skills that people gamble on. Technician is Shrewd Step. Take that if you want. I'm not going to suggest it. Lightning Step is basically a 1 in 10 for acceleration, so I would not take it as well. So she doesn't really give you that much except for the 20% speed bonus. Measure McQueen Anime is a little tough because most likely you're out of stamina. You're less than half stamina by the late race on the final corner. But she does come with Beeline Burst, so most likely this is going to proc like almost instantly and get eaten. Regular Measure McQueen in the pace chaser position should get eaten pretty consistently because you should be pretty close to the front runners. But Spring Runner in kit with Calm and Collected as the ease of use possibly could make this work, but the ult is fairly non-existent, to be perfectly blunt, in this position. I've said this before, but you might be able to gamble it in the late surger position because you might pass into 25% distance, right? But I don't know. TM Opera OG, normally her advantage is having Speedstar and Killer Tunes. Only Killer Tunes is really useful. Speedstar is sort of a half gold recovery skill, as I talked about. TDD, this dance is for Victoria, is usually will get eaten. I think it's final corner or later, close to the runner, ahead or behind. That's a lot of conditions that can happen. I believe it will get eaten on that final corner a little bit. OG Augury Cap, you probably should run this late surger or end closer if you have the sparks for it, but late surger was just going to have Augury Cap give you more late race speed. She comes with Nimble and Kit. Her pace chaser advantage is having the Gourmand gold recovery for ease of use. Symboli Rodolph OG is also probably should be a late surger just because there's probably not enough targets to pass eventually, but Behold Thine Emperor's Divine Might is a very, very, very good late race skill. Maybe if you run double front runner, you can go and build this character in the pace chaser position. She only comes with preferred position for her recoveries, but pro curve means you can run stuff like Fuku NTR if you have those skills. She's also a dominator debuffer, but again, you need to be a backliner for that. Machikane Tanhoiza is a good character that has a bunch of mid-race I can't talk today. I say Machikane Tanhoizer's name perfectly and then I can't talk after her. That's kind of crazy. So Go Moon, mid-race speed plus stamina. Pretty much guaranteed in the pace chaser position to be third or better. Stamina recovery means you're probably going to hit your stamina bunch, but she doesn't really give anything. Unruffled I probably wouldn't take. It's probably not going to proc, and you probably have enough stamina with these two combined. Rice Shower OG is a little tough because she gives you nothing but firm conditions. Determined Descent doesn't work. Highlander is a gamble 1 in 3. It's your choice for that. Blue Rose Closer is good. I don't know. I mean, if you're building this character, you kind of know what you're doing because you're an Oshi player. But if you're trying to build this, you need to put every single mid-race skill in the game on her, every single late-race skill in the game that you can, as much as possible, and hope that you pass somebody in the front on that final straight, and go from there because this all can also be eaten as well. Daiwa Scarlet, you go full overshoot on this character. If you're building her pace, you probably should build her front runner if you can. Her advantage is race planner, but she again comes with Killer Tunes and Kit, so you basically grab Itson and Yayana Mateki as your other gold mid-race skill. My voice is dying. I apologize. Boy. All right. Resplendent Red A, second or better, which means you got to go full overshoot. I said that. So try to run her front runner, but if you're running her pace chaser, you got to basically run this as a full rod character. Measure Ryan, you're never hitting 6 on this character. Run her late searcher, please. Comes in Killer Tunes in the kit. It's a really weird character that comes with Killer Tunes, but you're better off lobby gambling on a late searcher than you are in a pace chaser position for this. Uma Squared is a good recovery skill with some bonus target speed. She is also a dominator character, but you need to be a backliner for that. She also has late A, so you maybe just want to run her late searcher because she just comes with medium skills, and medium skills can be placed on any roll, and she comes with 20% speed. So I would suggest late searcher for this, but if you are wanting the recovery, you do this on pace chaser. Now, you could lobby gamble late searcher, like I said. All right, I'm stopping there. That is all the Pace A characters. I don't see much reason to move characters to the Pace Chaser position. If you're lobby gambling by like trying to do double front runner, you know what you're doing. So I would not make a late surger and end closer into the Pace Chaser position. So run characters in their natural role in this champions meeting. This is the Derby. This is your Oshi Cup, sort of, if Christmas Oguri didn't exist. Everyone gets Maru Ultimate in all the positions. So don't try to move them to Pace Chasers. So this has been the Pace Chaser guide. Again, sorry it happened 3 days before the registration period, but we finally gone and finished off CM14. So all that's left here is the debrief. I appreciate those who have gone through the whole experience of me talking about all the guides. I know some of them got very long. This one's approaching 40 minutes. Hopefully it will not hit too far after, but I do have some housekeeping to do because I will be going and doing a debrief video. When I finish my team, I will be going and revealing that team. And also there is an event tonight that I will be streaming with Rae. We are doing a 5v5 fun match, so do tune into that. So with that, memberships are available. I appreciate all the members. Those in the Borb tier get shouted out in the overview video, and I've been doing it for all of them because there's not enough of them for me to spend an hour on it yet. So thank you especially to Captain Kiku ZX, Mr. Merritt, Crest of Gautier, Immobility, Sorcerer, Oguri Cap Eats a Burger, Lucifel, Mono Sataru, Snow Crystals, Hugh, Thunder Cluck Not Real, Sage, and Peter Van Stan. I appreciate you all for watching. No Pace Chasers. There's still a few of you out there. That's why I still did this guide, because there's a lot of Pace Chaser people who just enjoy running Pace Chasers in general, and it's sort of the forgotten role of this CM. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Take care, everyone. Good luck building your aces for CM13, and then beyond, we will talk about CM14 on registration day. So do look forward to that. Take care, everyone. Birb out.